Hi everyone, my name is Audrey and welcome to my channel. Today I'm giving you my December wrap up.
Gathered by the sea, sand people anxiously. Not once did speak to me. When tides came, did not flee. They each spoke the same, had the same dreams, same pain and same feelings. Staring at the sea and what was left of me. Found out, they tried to shout, but when in doubt, the facade of the sea staring back at me. Each led like sheep, stepped foot to sea, drowning oh so patiently. Sand people sit and wait anxiously.
Another party, another Friday night, another talk that might turn into a fight. Too many faces you only see online. Too many cases of faking by design. Wake up every morning just to go right back to sleep. Text everyone you already know you'll never meet. Dance alone around your room and get down to the beat. Wanna change the world, 21 and feeling old. Being young and engaged in the modern age. Only seen on the screen, internet's our stage. Reaching high, wondering why no one knows the way. Got the world at our feet, but we're all just kids. if you can't be beat. But honesty is scary, so you're gonna hit delete. Wake up every morning just to go right back to sleep. Text everyone you already know you'll never meet. Dance alone around your room and get down to the beat. Wanna change the world, 20, or wanting a feeling old. Being young and engaged in the modern age. Only seen on the screen, internet's our stage. Reaching high, wondering why no one knows the pain. Got the world at our feet, but we're all just kids. Is it you that I'm connecting, or reality projecting? Just a second, is my phone? Can we finish later on? Is it you that I'm connecting, or reality projecting? Just a second, is my phone? Can we finish later on? Being young and engaged in the modern age. Only seen on the screen, internet's our stage. Reaching high, wondering why no one knows the pain. Got the world at our feet, but we're all just kids. Yeah, we're all just kids. Yeah, we're all just kids. Yeah, we're all just pretending. Just a second, can we finish? All just kids. Being young and engaged in the modern age. Only seen on the screen, internet's our stage.
I found somebody, I say you don't cross my mind. And she doesn't know that your favorite place is still mine. Now I take the long way home, avoid what I can't let go. I don't always think about you, but sometimes I do. Cause sometimes I drive through all of the streets we used to on First Avenue. Cause sometimes I don't even know where I'm going at first. All of the turns that I had to unlearn, back to the surface, the feeling of all that we were. I don't always think about you till First Avenue, that's when I do. That's when I do. I guess the truth is I can't leave memories behind. She asks about you, I hesitate every time. Every time. I don't always think about you, but sometimes I do. Cause sometimes I drive through all of the streets we used to on First Avenue. Cause sometimes I don't even know where I'm going at first. All of the turns that I had to unlearn, back to the surface, the feeling of all that we were. I don't always think about you till First Avenue, that's when I do. Think about you, but sometimes I do. Cause sometimes I drive through all of the streets we used to on First Avenue. Cause sometimes I don't even know where I'm going at first. All of the turns that I had to unlearn, back to the surface, the feeling of all that we were. I don't always think about you till First Avenue. That's when I do.
And all I want to do is find a place where it will be so dark I can't see. I'll let the music guide me. I see through silence and follow it to some reality. At night I feel alive, and all the flashing colors fill inside my mind. I breathe and close my eyes. The music animates me till I'm out of time. A paradise never turned to black and white. Let's make time tomorrow for doing nothing. I'm just gonna say goodbye to yesterday and all the days of light illuminate the neon shades alleviate the grace. At night I feel alive, and all the flashing colors fill inside my mind. I breathe and close my eyes. The music animates me till I'm out of time. A paradise never turned to black and white. Let's make time to tomorrow for doing nothing. At night I feel alive, and all the flashing colors fill inside my mind. I breathe and close my eyes. The music animates me till I'm out of time. A paradise, at night I feel alive, and all the flashing colors fill inside my mind. I breathe and close my eyes. The music animates me till I'm out of time. A paradise never turned to black and white.
In this video, I'm not going to be talking about my whole year of reading in 2021. I'm going to do a separate video for that, and I'm also going to talk about my goals going into 2022. Look out for that video. It's probably going to be uploaded as soon as this one is as well. So today I'm only going to talk about the books I read in December. So for this month, I had a goal of reading 14 books because I wanted to achieve my Goodreads challenge to read 52 books a year, which was the equivalent of one book every week. I don't think any one of you are going to be surprised to know that I did not achieve that goal, but I did still manage to read 6 books, which is one of my best reading months this year. So I'm actually really happy with that. As usual, I participated in the Buzzword-a-thon, and for this month, the prompt was day, month, season. I stretched out a little bit to make my book fit into this prompt because it was December, it was Christmas, times were really, really tough, so I didn't want to buy a book for the prompt, but I tried to make this book work anyways. So I had on my reader 8 Perfect Hours by Leah Lewis. So hours to me is a time measurement, so as much as day, months, and seasons. So I decided to make it fit. I had never heard of this book before. I actually found it on the Kobo site. My reader is a Kobo, so I get all of my books on the Kobo site, and every day they have a different book on which there's a deal. So they're usually $1.99 or $2.99, which is a really good deal for newer books. And I decided to buy this one because I thought it was going to be a Christmassy type of book, which I've never really read before. No, I think I read only one, and I really wanted to be in the Christmassy vibe reading wise, so I thought it was a good idea, but I was mistaken because it was not a Christmas book. So this follows Noelle, who is a 32-year-old woman, and she is coming back home from this college reunion because they did a time capsule thing and they were retrieving everything they put in the capsule. She's stuck in traffic for 8 hours because of a snowstorm in March. So not Christmas, but still a snowstorm. I love snowstorms. And she is trying to call her mom because she needs to take care of her because she has a mental illness that forces Noelle to be with her constantly. And she is trying to reach out to her and make sure that she's okay, but her battery on her phone died. And she ends up borrowing the charger from Sam, the guy in the car next to her. And they spend 8 perfect hours together during the storm until they are released from traffic. They find each other again under weird circumstances, and there's actually a lot of coincidences that makes Noelle think that it was fate for them to be together. I'm not gonna lie, I did not enjoy this book at all. I don't typically read contemporaries and romance books, and this one did not make it for me. The storm part was very, very fast. It was over within the first 2 or 3 chapters, which I was a little disappointed with. I was expecting it to be quite longer. I didn't feel any chemistry between the 2 characters. There was a lot of miscommunication in this book as well, which I really, really hated. I do not like that trope, and it felt to me that the main character, Noelle, who is supposed to be a 32-year-old woman, was acting and thinking like a 15-year-old teenager, which did not do it for me at all. I really hate when that happens. It makes me not believe in the character. I do not relate to it. I don't feel like it's genuine. I don't feel like it's an accurate representation. This book had me rolling my eyes so many times during the reading process. There's also a lot of mental health rep, which I had some issues with. I didn't mind the rep itself, the way that the people with mental health illnesses, I think it was well portrayed. What I did have a problem with was the way that the characters were dealing with those illnesses. I am not an own voice for mental health rep, but I've been a witness to a loved one struggling with mental illness for a long time. And there's one character that has a postpartum depression. It's not written in the book as much, but it's very, very clear that's what she's going through. It's a very taboo subject. I really wished it was not just shrugged off as, oh, you're just tired, you're gonna get better, don't worry, you're just tired. It's not something you say to someone who potentially has a postpartum depression. It's not the way you deal with it. She also says somewhere through there that she just gets a pill and she's better, like it's a magical solution. That's not how you treat mental illness. These things take time and there's no magic to it. And that really, really bothered me. And I didn't like how her mother was dealt with either. I'm not going to go into too much details, but you can check out my vlog for my full thoughts. I felt like nothing really happened throughout the story either. So yeah, I was actually really, really bored with this book. I just couldn't wait to finish it. I gave this book 1.5 stars. The next book I finished was Fire with Fire by Destiny Soria. This is an urban fantasy and it follows 2 sisters who are raised to be dragon slayers, as it is a skill that is passed on from older generations to younger generations throughout the family. In this world, no one knows that dragons still exist except for people who are dealing with them. And one day, one of those sisters meet a dragon and forms a bond with the dragon, and she realizes that dragons might not be as bad as they thought, and she's rethinking the whole dragon slaying thing. There's a lot of conflict between slaying and not slaying dragons, and there's also sorcerers that are involved in this. I enjoyed this book for what it was. It is a YA book. I enjoyed some characters, some I didn't enjoy as much. One of the sisters I found quite annoying and immature and just being jealous throughout the whole book, which kind of annoyed me. It was a good read, enjoyable read. It wasn't nothing I was impressed with. It was a little bit predictable, but it's still a fun read, and the pacing was quite fast, so I got through it pretty quickly. But honestly, I don't know what else to say about this book, so that's saying much about my enjoyment of it. I mean, it was a good book. It's just not something that's memorable, but maybe it is something for you. I still recommend this book if you like YA, urban fantasies, dragons, sorcerers. I gave this book 3 stars. The next book I read was The Last Magician by Lisa Maxwell. So I've been talking about this book for so long on this channel. It's been on my TBRs for many months now, and I finally finished it. It was a book that I chose for, I don't know which month, Buzzword, which was last, and I picked this one. This is the first book of a series. I wanted to say trilogy, but I think it's a series. The 4th book is coming pretty soonish, I think. It is a historical fiction fantasy. It is set in New York, and there's this organization that is against magicians, and they created this brink over New York City, which traps the magicians that come into the city, and if they leave the city, they will lose all their powers and they will eventually die. And if they use magic throughout the city, they're going to be hunted down. And this follows Esta, who has the powers to travel through time, and she needs to go through time and steal some artifacts in order to bring this organization down and help other magicians thrive through life and live in a better world for them. And she needs to travel in 1920 and do this heist because there's a very important object she needs to retrieve, and this takes place mostly throughout the 1920s. I really enjoyed this book. I had a hard time reading it when I was around the 50% mark. I don't think it was because of the book. I think it was a me thing. I probably wasn't in the good mindset to read it. I was reading other books at the same time as well, and for some reason it kind of got a little slow during the middle there, and that's probably where I lost a little bit of interest. But once I picked it back up, I was really invested and I just couldn't put it back down. So if you are trying to read it and you're having a hard time, I would strongly recommend you continue and push on, because it does get quite fast-paced and very eventful. There's a lot of things that happen in there, and it's quite complex. At first, I was a little bit confused on how the magic system works, but as you go on throughout the book, it becomes a little bit clearer, and I think the main character still doesn't fully understand herself, so we kind of discover it at the same time as she does. And toward the last 100 pages, there were so many reveals that happened and so many twists that I did not see coming, and I was actually really surprised with how it turned out to be. I am very curious to see where it's going to go from here in the next books. I do think there were maybe a little bit too many reveals, plot twists. It could have done with a little bit less, and I honestly felt that like there was nothing left to reveal for the next book. but I'm trusting the author that the next book will still be very good. I loved the characters. They were very relatable and flawed, but still believable. And I loved reading throughout the different point of views. And I highly recommend, if you like fantasy and historical fiction, this is a great book. I really loved it. And I cannot wait to get my hand on the second book of this trilogy. So I gave this book 5 stars. The next book I read is Vie de Gateau Sec by Elisabeth Barry-Lessard. So this book is in French, obviously. I don't believe it has been translated in English. It is a book that was written by a friend of mine that I knew from university when I did my first bachelor's degree. She's a very, very, very talented artist, and I wanted to support her. She's now on her 5th book of the series, and it's a middle grade book, and it follows a young girl who has to stop dancing because she is diagnosed with a general anxiety disorder. And it's her dealing with that and being in her teenage years and not knowing what to do with her life. And I thought it was a very, very great book. I know a lot of my students really love this book. And if you do speak French and you like middle grade, I strongly recommend you pick this up. I gave this book 5 stars. The next one I read was Our Dark Duet by Victoria Schwab. So this is not a secret. I was not liking this duology from the start. It's my first Victoria Schwab book. Well, The Savage Song was my first one, but this is the second book to this duology. It is set in Verity, which is a city. I'd like to say it's kind of like a dystopian type of setting, where in Verity, the city is divided in 2, the North and the South, and the North has one leader and the South has another leader, and they do not mix up. And there's monsters that appear in the city when humans sin, if that makes sense. And it follows August, who is one type of monster and who is from the South, I believe, and he is like a son to the leader of the South. And it also follows the point of view of Kate, who is the daughter of the leader of the North part of the city. And it's them trying to make sense of the world and this war and finding their place in that. I do not like the not like other girls trope. I hated Kate's character a lot. I did not connect with her. I did not care for her, what happened to her. I didn't think there was a great connection between the 2 main characters. I did not understand fully how the magic system worked and how the world worked. I wanted more answers regarding that I never got. I did not like how the magic system was used. I felt like the author actually forced her magic system onto the violin instead of using the music and the violin to build up her magic system, if that makes any sense. Yeah, I did not care much for anything that happened in there. I read it. It was a very fast read. I think she has a good prose, but other than that, I wasn't invested in these characters at all. I gave this book 2.5 stars out of 5. And finally, the last book I read for this month is Game of Thrones, which is the first book of this series. I finally finished this book. I started this one in, I believe, September. It took me around 4 months to read it. It's a very, very big book. I have it on my reader, and I prefer having them on my reader because they're big books and I don't often see them in regular paperbacks. They're usually sold in mass market paperbacks, and I hate mass market paperbacks. It's the worst format for me. The spines always crack and it's always so little and small, and I really just hate it. So on my reader it's just perfect, and on my reader it was 1,800 pages, which seems a lot, but it's not as much in the real physical book. But I'm a big fan of the series, except for season 7 and 8. Obviously those do not exist to me, but that's a whole other subject. But the first season of the show is basically episode to episode, chapter by chapter, what the first book is, which I really enjoyed. I thought it read pretty quickly, but I have heard a lot of people saying they thought it was very dense. I didn't feel like it was dense, but then again, I'm a huge fan of the series and I've watched it many, many times. And I do remember the first time I watched the series, I had to try multiple times. I didn't understand the characters. I was just so confused between all of the characters and their houses and who was who related to whom and all this stuff. I probably wouldn't have enjoyed it as much if I didn't already know the characters. That's probably why I read through it pretty quickly. But yeah, I really love that series up until the end of season 6. I cannot wait to read more of the books of this series. I know that the other books in the series are not quite the same as the TV show, which I'm very curious to see the differences between both of those. Yeah, I really loved my reading, and rereading it, I really felt like I was watching the show again, and huge emotions. I was still very invested, even if I knew what was going to happen. So it was a very easy 5 stars for me. So that's it. Those are the 6 books I read in December. I'm really happy with what I've read, even if I didn't achieve my goal, because it was not an achievable goal, obviously, but I'm still pretty happy with that. Stay tuned for my next videos. I am going to be uploading pretty regularly so I can catch up on my belated videos. As I said in the beginning of the video, I'm going to do a overview of my reading in 2021, as well as setting my goals for 2022. So watch out for that video. Thank you so much for watching. Let me know in the comments how your reading went in December. I would love to know. Like, subscribe, hit the notification bell if you want to be notified every time I upload a new video, and I will see you soon in another one. Bye.